Welcome to this episode of Mindful Mondays. It's always so good to be back to have these conversations that help you and us build thriving relationships. So last week we began a conversation around families, and because families are such foundational institutions to our well-being, I'm excited that Dr. Kadochi is back to help us, especially with the science around that, about how we can not only harness healthy relationships, but today we start with the foundations. How are you today?
I'm good. And how are you doing?
I am doing very well.
Looking forward to today's episode and everything that we're talking about.
As always.
Quite intriguing. I loved the opening you gave last week and looking forward to the conversation.
But first things first, we are just fresh out of, not even out, Africa Freedom Day. We're still in Africa Day.
Yeah.
We're still deep in that. And my icebreaker for today is, what does freedom mean to you?
Freedom.
Right in the deep end.
Right in the deep end.
Yeah.
I think freedom is about liberation, as much as liberation may seem to be a synonym of freedom. But I feel like liberation has got an element of we getting to understand that we are being saved from something. We get to have that liberty. So being saved from something. So freedom to me would then imply being liberated from things that are a stronghold, things that keep me in maladaptive coping mechanisms. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a mental health expert. I'm saying this because life is all about coping mechanisms. We are coping from the time we're introduced to the lifestyle. To when we begin to make our own personal styles of living life. And there are a lot of things that we are supposed to be free from. Like I have to be free from certain attitudes that I am taught are what are the right responses to certain situations. I have to be free from certain mindsets, certain beliefs. I have to be free from certain energy. Yeah. So liberation from all those things, I believe, is what freedom is.
From what I was hearing from you, it's a lot of like mental liberation and freedom to make decisions and build a healthy life. And because Mindful Mondays is basically about that, building healthy relationships that help you thrive. Is why we're going back to the root of where we're coming from, because a lot of that, like we said, stems, a lot of who we are now comes from where we've been. And the foundational institution is the family. So I just wanted us to dive into that aspect. What do our parental, or rather, how should our parental relationships look like for us to thrive? Before we go into the histories and everything, what if a young parent is looking and they have a young child, what should their relationship with their child look like for them to have a child that thrives?
That's a good question. A bit tough, but as you're asking, what's coming to mind really is presence. Presence, because we've undermined presence over the generations. We've made parenting to be one-sided. And we have seen that mostly it's about the mother who's present, and the father is always not that available. And at times it can even be vice versa. I know a couple of people
Me too.
who have it the other way around. But parenting, really, there are two things. One, to answer your question, one is being able to get the most out of your child. Right? That's one. And two, being able to guide them. So getting the most out of them, why? Because they have potential. There's something that they have to live out, something that they are born for, or something that they are capable of doing. So every human being, no matter how small, a child, a baby, there is an element of potential So what is it that they can do? Are they creative? What is it within them? Not only limiting it to talents, but mental faculty. What is it that this child is able to do? Every child is able to do something. Doesn't matter whether they are differently abled, they are capable of doing something. So as a parent, you being able to allow that to come out, that's a key thing. Parenting.
And presence is a big deal for that.
You can only be able to do that if you're present.
True.
The second is now you getting to guide with a torch. That's where the training comes in. The Bible says, train up a child in a way that they should go. So you have a responsibility to guide them because you've been around for some time.
You have experience.
You have experience, and they have something within them that they need to bring out. So in summary, those are the two things I feel parenting is really much about. The other factors are things that just come into,
to support the two,
support
the presence, to bring it out and to guide.
Yes.
Very well put. Yeah, so we've talked about that, the guiding and the bringing out. I think many moons back, we talked about parenting style.
Yes.
And I think parenting styles explain to us how we related with our parents and how they show us why we are the way we are.
Yes.
Could you walk us through what parenting styles are? What do we need to be aware of?
Okay, so there's such a thing as parenting style. Yes.
Let's start there.
Most people don't know that there are styles. From an African perspective, we always say, our parents were tough. The parents for nowadays, parents for nowadays aren't that tough. And we just attribute, the style to toughness or strict, mostly. But there are studies that have been done, and they've been able to break down the types or the styles that most parents use. So, firstly, I need you to understand that there are 4 types of parenting style. The first is what we would call as authoritative. Now, authoritative is where you have a balance of a parent that is available to guide and also available to bring out the most out of their child. So there's a relationship present. Now, this has nothing to do with whether the parents are available. Both of the parents are available. This is parenting style. So whether the mother is there, the father is there, as long as, or at least one of the two does this style. Okay. Authoritative style is one that is about the relationship. So meaning the parent and the child have their working relationship.
Authoritative.
Yeah, authoritative. So they have a working relationship where the parent is guiding and helping them, bring out the best out of their child, and the child is also submissive in a way and open to bring out suggestions. It's an open relationship. So it is balanced in a way that the child can suggest, I would like to be a pilot.
Yeah, as an example.
And that is
and the father just doesn't assume that because I'm a doctor.
Yeah, the father doesn't just assume because I'm a doctor, you have to follow my steps. They're open enough to know, okay, so what intrigues you about that. Being a pilot? Okay. During your holidays, we'll take you to the airport, so they're basically supporting. Okay? So that's authoritative. The next one is authoritarian. Now, authoritarian is one-sided. Authoritarian is about I'm the boss. As the parent, you understand that you're the boss. Yeah. You are the one who imposes, times are hard, so you have to be a lawyer. So, no.
Okay.
Don't take it personal.
Okay.
So times are hard. You have to be
Do
a
the
lawyer.
money thing.
But times ahead, you have to be an accountant. You have to be
Yeah.
an economist. We're living in a time where there's an economic whatever decline.
Yeah.
So you will be this,
Absolutely.
and the child has no say. They just fall in the flow of your, in a way, dictatorship. So for authoritarian, the child has no say. They just comply.
Yeah.
They are submissive,
Yeah.
respectful,
Yeah.
and when they don't do what you expect them to do,
They're in trouble.
they're in trouble.
Yeah.
So they have this fear-driven life, and most of these become people pleasers. They have anxiety because they have to ensure that they are in the books of their parents. So that's authoritarian.
Yeah.
Then the third style is permissive. Now, permissive, as the word itself, it
It
permits.
doesn't even sound healthy.
Yeah, you permit. So this one, it's the child who leads.
All authoritarian is parent leads.
Yes.
Then okay.
Permissive is the child who leads. Mommy, I want this. Mommy
Take it.
gives. Or daddy gives.
Yeah.
It's about meeting the needs of your child with an overdose. And I'm saying this because this is a style we are seeing today in a few of young parents. Why? Because
Thinking a lot.
I've had it tough. My child should
not
not
have
have
it
it tough. You take them to the expensive schools. You give them all these
Which you
privileges.
should, but if you afford it, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
in a healthy
In a healthy
context.
way, yeah. You give them all these privileges. They have this silver spoon in their mouths.
Yeah.
They just have life easy. You don't counteract. You feel like if you go against what they are saying, it will affect their mental health. You just have them as eggs.
Yeah.
So that's called permissive parenting style. However, it has its quirks. It has its consequences, because these are children who grow up not being resilient enough, and they struggle in their self-esteem. So when you are ever giving them everything that they need, you're taking away from their ability to develop self-esteem, one, taking away from their ability to develop resilience, two, and all you're doing is adding more to your self-esteem as a parent, but taking away from your child. So you're depleting your child of the privilege of being holistic, adaptable, taking away from their emotional intelligence. They don't know life skills.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
That, like you're saying, even if you have a gas stove at home, someone won't get up to get dinner started because mom should come and fix
Mom should
dinner.
come and do it.
It's quite
So
interesting.
permissive takes away from the life skills
Of the child.
that a child needs to have for them to be able to survive when they're finally out there in college, in university, or when they go out abroad for studies. These are the children that end up in companies that just mess them up. Right? We've seen this. When I was abroad, I had a lot of friends who, when any hardship hit, you could see they would tend to maladaptive, skills, maladaptive behaviors, wrong company, just because they can't survive on their own. So they'd rather be with somebody who'd help them survive, but there are consequences to that. So we saw a lot of pregnancies being terminated. We saw a lot of high risk behaviors in alcohol consumption. We saw all these things, but it's because they never had the foundation due to the parenting they received. They were spoiled.
What has come to my mind about that kind of parenting style?
Yeah.
This new Lion King that has I feel like I always say that Scar was, because we've had this conversation before. I feel like Scar's unfortunate situation was perpetuated by the dad. And I feel like when I think, was it the mom? It was the dad.
No,
He says,
the dad.
no, kings don't do that. Kings don't do that. And then
Yeah.
life happens, and I know that it's a script, but that's how
It's true,
people
it
are
happens.
doing parenting now. Like, no, my child can't do that.
Yeah.
No, don't send my child. You should have your own kid and do that.
Yeah.
And long-term consequences is what you're talking about.
Forever as a parent. That's
And,
what you
and
need
that's
to
the
understand.
truth that we need
That's
to
what
live
you need to
with.
understand.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you need to prepare your children. Simple life skills, guys.
Just simple.
Simple
Like,
life
start from doing your dishes, close
Simple
the
life
doors.
skills, yeah.
Yeah.
These simple life skills go a long way.
Yeah.
I, for one, I think I knew how to cook at a young age.
Yeah.
And just knowing how to cook helped me,
See your life now.
prevented me from a lot of things.
Problems. Early marriages.
Any marriages, I would have been cohabited by
Like, I need someone to take care of me.
simple
I can't do
cooking
it.
skills prevented all those things.
Problems.
Yeah. So let's be mindful on that. The last one. So we've talked about authoritative, authoritarian, permissive, and the last one is neglectful. Now, neglectful is where there's literally absence. There's no parent. You're neglected. There's no parent to help you see what's within you. There's no parent to help guide you on life matters. So you're neglected. However, studies have shown that even in present parents, even when parents are present, neglect will still happen.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, because there are people who have children and they don't do the work.
Yeah.
They are not there to see how the child is developing. They are basically around to ensure that physical needs
Are met.
School fees is paid, there's food on the table, but you are not a role model to your child. You are not one that your child would be free enough to say,
This is what's happening.
this is what's happening. And sadly, we see this in the girl child, where when they get to that age of menstruation, they don't have the courage to talk to their parents about what has now started to happen biologically. They would rather wait for somebody to see that, oh, you are in need, let me help you. And we see this a lot with people who have not had the emotional, usually quite emotional apparatus guided, which is basically you getting to know emotional needs. So most people have been raised emotionally neglected, and they don't know how to help others, and others are just too busy. So neglectful or rejecting parenting style is where you are totally not present emotionally or psychologically in the life of your children. You don't know their favorite colors, you don't know their favorite meal, you don't know what's happening, you just do child support.
But the child is there.
But the child is there. And we see this in these children because at times some of them, and it's not always a one size fit all, because some of them end up becoming junkies, some of them end up having early teenage pregnancies, some of them end up just isolating, and they would be quite avoidant, dismissive, and all that, because they haven't had that relationship with the parent. So for the neglectful, it's most seen in adults that are ever seeking for an attachment. These are people who become quite obsessed with a partner because they've never had relationships. That nothing has been modeled. They don't have that relation, and so when they find somebody who accepts them emotionally, they want to cling to this person. They are obsessed with this person. They would kill for this person. Okay, so
It's scary.
But anyway, the message is that they are obsessed.
You are normal. It's just something that it's coming from.
It's
somewhere.
coming from a void.
You're not too much. It's just coming from somewhere.
It's coming from, yes.
And once you have understanding and get the work done, you can still have healthy, thriving relationships.
Yeah. So those are the 4 areas really. So as a parent, you need to ensure that at least you're demanding the best out of your child, and you're also supporting them with what they need.
No, thank you so much for that. I think it's very essential. And I think listening to what Dr. Kadochi has been saying, each one of us can sort of identify where we fit in. Like, oh, this is where I grew up. My parent had this style. Yeah. But I think at this stage, it's important to say that remember that our parents were doing parenting in the age where they didn't have this information. And I think that a good place to begin while we're talking about building thriving relationships, especially with our parents, I think a lot of people have to forgive their parents for the skills that they didn't have.
True.
We all tend to mimic behavior. So Wupe as a mother, I think there's certain times I'm like, oh my God, I'm just like my mom. So we pick up certain things, a lot of them good, like my mom's very nurturing, so I'm very nurturing as well. So but there are other aspects of their parenting styles that we took on that was not helpful to us.
Yes.
And for many, like for instance, if a father was authoritative, right, and they didn't have an opportunity to speak up, and they lived in a home where there was infidelity, a lot of the time we don't talk about how infidelity affects the children.
Yes.
Everyone will treat the grass that is suffering like they don't know. We pretend like, oh, the children don't know, therefore they will be fine.
The elephant in the room lingers.
Yeah, and the grass is the one that suffers. So there's certain things that, as an adult, to start building those thriving relationships, when you've identified where you were, because a lot of the times it's not like you are in one box.
No.
You can say that, oh, my parents were somewhat permissive but authoritative. It's like there's a mix there. But I just wanted to say that, the first place to begin in building those thriving relationships is identify and forgive your parents, because one, they did what they did. They parented you from what they knew. They were parented and then they came and parented you. But we have the advantage of friendships and knowledge through social media, and we know these things, so therefore we can do better.